This is a warning before you watch the video. This was a really long video, so we cannot do our normal editing style of having multiple pictures throughout the video. So please treat this more like a podcast because you will, for the most part, just be seeing our two character models next to each other, and that is it. Furthermore, there will be some cuts in this video that sound awkward because people kept walking in on us when we were making the video and we had to stop. And this should not be happening in further videos. This happened because we were at my house at the time instead of our usual studio, which is not really a studio. Thank you.
Hey Frank, how's it going?
That's gonna be cut out. All right.
Damn it, man.
So, to continue something that was mentioned in a video earlier about the tiger encounter, I had my players walking through a jungle, and I decided to use an app to come up with a random encounter of a medium difficulty. The encounter was two were-tigers that got the drop on them. Unfortunately, I got the drop on two barbarians who get to go in the surprise round. The barbarians went up to the were-tigers, and proceeded to destroy them. Deciding that was a little too easy, I made a normal tiger attack them from stealth, getting another surprise round. I rolled a nat 1 to hit them, so the person he grabbed cut the tiger, threw it on the ground, and my two barbarians proceeded to maul it during the surprise round. This was a combat encounter where both surprise rounds the enemies died in their ambush. So, deciding to fuck with them, I went, you guys just murdered a family, just to try to make them feel bad. And then I rolled the loot table on what they were taking from them, and it's, on this random generator, it was a family photo, 3 of them, some perfume, and 2 golden rings. And yeah, that was the tiger encounter. It was underwhelming, awkward, and terrible. And what's your comment on that, Rekurtz?
Well, first off, I don't think that actually was a terrible thing you did, but ultimately it never went anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
At least I don't remember it doing anything past that. It was just oh, you killed the family! Frank, what the heck?
I brought up later that family got resurrected because I was trying to make you guys feel even worse. I said, that was a friend of the boss you're working for. That was a friend of Belfire, and you just killed them, you idiots.
I mean, to be fair, it's consistent if nothing else.
Yeah, you guys kept killing people that were associated to the people you're working for. Granted, the tiger one was the one time where I decided to do it afterward, but you guys just kept killing the people who were your allies, and I kept having to bring them back.
To be fair, the one time that I remember me doing that was because of a series of events where,
I admit, I did it wrong. You guys kept running into these guys at, the worst possible time, and you kept killing them, and I was like, God damn it, you were supposed to talk! I understand why you did it, but damn it!
Yeah, obviously, it was very rarely your fault. If ever.
Yeah, it was just me being an inexperienced DM, let's be honest. That was my first campaign. And we started that campaign because our first campaign ended abruptly. And I was like, oh crap, I have to start a campaign now.
God, I have such an instinct to talk about it. The first campaign.
You know what? Originally we were going to talk about my characters, but let's just talk about how crazy that was. We're not going to tear into it or anything. Let's just...
Yeah, no. That would be kind of unfair.
That would be mean and unfair, but let's just talk about how crazy it got. So, the campaign started with us waking up in a bar. But this was a special bar that we woke up in the afterlife because all of us got murdered.
It's funny, too. Well, good thing, too, is because, the DM told us that we were going to start off dead. But that was the crazy thing. It was the first campaign we've ever been in, and the first pitch he gives us is okay, first campaign starting off, I got a good one. It's a real hooker, guys. You all start off dead.
Yeah. So, we start off dead, and we're talking to the brother of, the strongest adventurer in the world or something.
In that region, if nothing else.
They own the guild or whatever. And basically, I forgot his name even. Basically, he was yeah, you're all dead. And I brought you here somehow. And I'm here because I had the deck of many things. I opened it and I drew the banishment card. So, I'm gonna bring. Here's the deal. I'm gonna help bring you guys back to life, and you're gonna get me out. And I was like, that's.
That just seems like a fair trade, honestly.
At the time, I was being a jackass and going like, "You're an idiot! How did you open up the deck of many things? Yo, level 20 adventure!" Just trying to piss off the DM because it was funny to me. But yeah, so basically, we get attacked by some shadow demon thing.
I thought it was. Well, no, you're right.
It was,
but it summoned like a bunch of squid creatures.
It wasn't a shadow demon. It was basically a monster that's covered in darkness. Showed up to attack us.
You think it was the Kraken we ended up fighting later?
That was later. Yeah, we fought that.
Right, but do you think they're connected? Like maybe not intentional, but
given the DM, probably he just never mentioned that they were connected. He probably didn't get it far enough for him to say that they were connected.
Yeah, we're jumping ahead of these things. Don't worry, we weren't planning on this anyway.
Yeah, so basically, this highlighted what our combat's gonna be like in this entire campaign. Because we went into this with all of us going, I'll be melee, I'll be melee, I'll be melee, I'll be the bard. And
that was me.
Yeah, none of us communicated to each other. So my character, who was a paladin Oath of Ancients, got spec'd into the ranged fighter by virtue of I had a longbow. That was the only reason you're our ranged fighter. You're the only one who has like a ranged attack. Go for it.
And just consistently do it.
And the worst part about that was this melee character was really good at range. Not because I built him well. No, I just kept rolling nat 20s for some reason. I was on fire in this campaign. To the point where every boss except the Kraken, we killed it on the first round of combat. It was our first campaign. We were really strong characters against an inexperienced DM.
I will be honest. I will mention here that a lot of the stuff that Joel mentioned in the beginning, I wasn't there for because school was a thing. That was when I was in college, right?
I think you were going to like either your graduation or a family member's graduation.
No, but I mean like there was a lot of points where I couldn't go.
I think you missed the second session, and that's the only one I really remember because we waited about 2 hours for you. And we got a text message, "Hey guys, I'm not going to show up."
I thought there were like a couple of sessions I missed, but the only problem was like you guys were, because I wasn't there, you guys were put in a dungeon.
Here's what happened, and you were there for the sessions, but you didn't participate at all because our DM made you be in a coma, and he put us into a dungeon, and we had to complete the dungeon to get you out of the coma, and we were stuck in that dungeon for about 10 sessions, and I'm not even over-exaggerating. That cave was just... We were stuck there so long.
Now, remind me
and
again.
a part of it is my fault, because I kept, getting distracted and talking. I will admit that. But I was just like, I want to get out of this cave.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because I know there was the noob cave that was supposed to be the trial run for like new adventurers, but this cave isn't that.
Now that was that cave. The DM had you fight a giant skeleton thing in your coma dream vision.
No, I was fighting a flesh golem.
There we go. Yeah, you were fighting an undead creature basically in the dream world, while we were in the real world trying to get the antidote.
Yeah, I want to talk about that because I think I had fun with that. I had fun with the idea. So essentially, my character was a dragonborn from a clan that was shared by another one of the players. And my backstory was more or less that my mother was outcast because of something she did, probably worshiping gods or whatever. Because at that time we went with the idea that Dragonborns did not worship gods or anything like that, and the fact that she did or did something similar kind of kicked her out. She had this special ancestral stone that she had. And my character knew about it, but didn't take it with him after you know, his whole family was murdered. Yes, we were at that stage of D&D.
Super depressing backstory, super depressing backstory. My character. I'm the prince of all ASMR. My entire species is dead. I made a Vegeta complex, no one picked up on that. And all the time went, you guys realize I just made a parody of Vegeta as my first character, right? He was an ASMR, so he had that freaking golden transformation thing too.
I just never. I think I just forgot that your entire race was either dead or non-existent.
Yeah, I went with the backstory of my clan or whatever was attacked by a giant slime monster.
And
I was the only survivor. Then I got shot by an arrow and died anyway. Like,
man, a slime monster.
2 minutes later.
That's further in the future. But that was like the what brought you and the other Dragonborn together. I think anyway. But anyway, talking about the dream. So fighting the flesh golem. That ended up giving me the ancestral stone that I thought I left behind. That was a level of intrigue. It was cool because I combined it with a sword hilt and just was casting flame strike, like that spell that does fire and radiant damage. I thought it was cool.
Oh yeah, so building back earlier onto something that happened before we got to the cave. My character ended up getting an item called Archer's Bracery from our Dragonborn fighter because he wasn't interested in
Archery.
Yeah, archery. So here you go, just an unopened one. He wasn't interested in archery, but he got that magic item because we were rolling. If you were a noble, you can choose not to get any bonuses, but you get one magic item that you roll for. You roll a D100 to determine what table it is. Then you roll a second one to determine what item it is. So you could get something like I got, legendary magic armor, or you could legitimately just get a potion. Me and this other player rolled very well. I got the armor of resistance, resistant to acid. Go figure, my entire species got killed by an acid monster, so I got acid-resistant armor with all my wealth.
That's called ironic.
Yep. And our Dragonborn dude, he had Archer's Bracery. He gave that to me. It's like an uncommon or rare magic item. It's uncommon. It's a +3 to arrow damage. That's an important thing to know because it's +3 magic arrow damage, not a +3 to just the damage itself, so it's its own thing. That's important because to make this campaign harder for us in the beginning, our DM had us going up against enemies with resistance to non-magic weapons. And none of us had any magic weapons except me. I had a bow, I had a high dex, and for some reason in this campaign I was nat 20 central because every boss fight we got into, and I think there was like 5 boss fights, I started combat by going, okay, I shoot the boss. Nat 20.
No, I was about to ask, were you using the Arcos dice?
This was before the Arcos
Yeah, I know.
dice.
That's what
I had the blood dice that the DM
yeah.
gave me, and it was like just a,
Basic,
red dice.
Yeah, red
exactly what you
dice.
think they are. And basically,
not made of blood.
Yeah. Basically, we would slaughter them, and we had one player, the DM's brother, who was a very experienced player. He's been playing for like years compared to us at that point, who'd played nothing, and he went with a monk with a 20 dex. And he had a lot of ki. He was playing Drunken Fist, and he would just walk up to the enemy and go, hello, I am Sake, Fury of Blows. You are now dead. And that was during one boss fight, the one boss who survived the first round of combat, his brother turned and looked at me and legitimately asked out loud, hey, do you want me to kill this guy now or should we let him live one round? The fact that we had a discussion of no, let the boss at least attack us once. Let's give him one round to attack us. And that was like, we gave him a pity round, and to be fair, he got his damage. He cast like a high level spell and nailed Sake, and I was like, okay, good, you got your shot in. And I shot him with a bow and finished him off. And that was just That was cruel but funny. And then another thing that happened to us was we got separated because spiders attacked us. A spider grabbed our experienced player, dragged him away from us.
I don't remember this.
Yeah, because you weren't there for that session. That was second session.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
he fell on the ground, and the DM wanted Sake to fight a direwolf by himself, forgetting that Saki's backstory had that little thing of, I was raised by direwolves. So he looks up, and he sees a direwolf, and Sake, without hesitation, just goes, "Oh, hi, Dale." And then our TM's like, "Oh, fuck, you were raised by direwolves, weren't you?" So that's how he gained an ally, Dale the direwolf.
Man, I'm sad I wasn't there for that one.
And yeah, we had Sake.
How do I remember Dale out of all the... Like, there was a...
Dale was just there. Dale was this campaign's Drake. He was an NPC that got attached to the party that wasn't supposed to be there, but somehow became the highlight of the entire campaign.
Like, okay, again, we said we weren't gonna, like, tear into this campaign, and honestly, I feel like, as far as first campaigns went, out of all the first campaigns, this one was probably the best up to its, like, you know, immediate end. But, like...
It was the most put together when it comes to story.
Yeah, there we go. But, like, it's funny because there was a half-orc that the DM had for us, and I don't know the DM's intentions fully in terms of, like, what he wanted for that half-orc.
Originally, he was going to be a joke character, but then the DM decided that he wanted to be a serious character, and I wasn't there when he decided to make it a serious character, so I treated him like he was a joke character, and he wasn't supposed to be a joke character.
Right.
But I didn't realize that until after the campaign ended.
Like, nothing against, like, that desire. It's just unfortunate, because I remember Dale, the direwolf, who literally did enough, as far as I can remember.
Dale was a team player.
Okay, let's talk about Dale. Because I remember Dale so fondly, but I can't remember the half-words.
So here's what happened with Dale. Sake would get on top of Dale and just ride him into battle.
Oh, yeah.
Like, a lot. And we're going to skip ahead. Basically, when our party got back together, we'll double back to the cave, don't worry, but we're going to talk about Dale. So Dale's crowning moment was during one of our last sessions. I think this might have actually been the last session.
Maybe.
We were fighting an army of cultists.
No, it wasn't. That was the last session.
Yeah, we were fighting an army of cultists and an army of thieves at the same time.
Definitely not the last session.
And basically, Sake went into a bar, knocked out a thief, and, like, killed him instantly. The other one turned around and went, "What happened?" And Sake went, "It must be their wizard." He rolled a 2 on his deception. Guess what the guy rolled on his insight?
Natural
1. He rolled a nat 1, and Sake managed to convince a thief that he was on his side, that he was actually the leader in disguise the whole time with a 2 on his deception. And then he just gets all the thieves in the bar, walks out, gets on top of his direwolf, and says, "We are the clan of the wolf," or something. Like, he came up with, like, "They are the wolves, and we are going to take this town from the cultists." So he rallied the cultists together, who we were supposed to fight, not cultists, the thieves together. Yeah. And then he goes into, like, the central square where all the cultists are gathered, and he says, and this is his shout, like his command, "Remember, don't fight fair. Group up on them, 3-on-1, to battle, my brothers!" And then he gets on his direwolf, and he just runs in, and, like, the strongest cultist steps up to Sake, and they roll initiatives, and Dale's going first. And then Dale gets in his own boss fight, of course, his own nat 20, walks up to the strongest cultist they have, and just bites his head off. And just immediately just nails him. And then Sake, like, rides up to 3 other cultists, and he goes Fury of Blows and one-shots all 3 of them. And they're, like, outnumbered 5-1. Like, 20 cultists versus, like, 20 thieves versus 100 cultists. And they were winning! they were just destroying them. And we decided to play both sides. I rolled a deception check to say that I'm a cultist, and we had our bard. He rolled a deception check, and he said he was a thief, and we pretended to be fighting each other as we're walking.
Oh yeah, that's right.
We pretended
Because you gave me the because again I'm the bard, but someone gave me like a bandit's like.
That was Sake. You were with Sake.
They gave me a bandit's bandana, and we're like, you know what? Let's play the field. And you being the bard, it's like I probably had one of the.
You gave me an inspiration.
Yeah.
You gave me a bardic inspiration, which actually saved me because I rolled low. But in jail, I went bardic inspiration, and I rolled a 6, and I was like, oh, we're good.
Yeah. It's just like, oh man, best time to be a bard.
And the best part was after we were playing both sides and we were pretending to fight each other while going to the church, which is where the main boss was. The civilians decided to try to attack us, and then we just rolled persuasion, like, why are you trying to fight us? Get out of here! And they just like looked at us angrily and left.
Because it's like, let's be honest here. Do you want to risk your lives trying to defend the city that's already taken over, or do you want to save your lives for the next generation?
Yeah. So that was Dale's crowning moment, leading an army of thieves to destroy an army of cultists who had spellcasters and other things with them. But, a wolf is better than 5 spellcasters and organized fighters, apparently.
Lesson of the day. Big teeth is better than big book.
The best part was that the direwolves have a thing called pack tactics. Whenever they're within 5 feet of an ally, they have advantage on attacks. Because Sake rode on Dale, Dale always had advantage on his attacks.
I need to look that up now. Because, man, that's kind of busted.
It
is
for a low-level campaign if you're riding a direwolf.
Okay,
yes.
I know we're going to get back to the cave thing, but I just got to bring this combo up, right? So, you got pack tactics with a direwolf, right? Now give that player who's riding said direwolf, whatever that cavalry stuff is, like the fighting style with cavalry and all that. Mm-hmm. Just get, oh god.
Also about monks and about this character's player, the drunken monk, instead of using wisdom for his AC, uses his constitution because they drink a lot.
Oh yeah.
That's important because constitution is tied directly to your health. So this was a monk with a 20 constitution. Like I said, we were really powerful characters. We rolled for our stats. A lot of us started off with 20s and at least one stat.
At least.
I had... Yeah, we rolled wrong. We decided to roll a D8 plus 10 because we couldn't think of any other method.
Yeah, for some reason... No, wait. No, we had the book, but for some reason we didn't think
we didn't read through the book thoroughly, and our DM's father went, oh yeah, just roll a D8 plus 10.
Because, that makes... I mean, it's not...
It's mathematically, you can't get a 20. Because
Right.
we thought you rolled a D20, and I had, on my first character sheet where I rolled a D20 to determine my stats, I had a 20, but I also had a 1. And I was just like, oh my god, I have everything.
Again, the DA plus 10, it was viable and all that, but it was also, I talked to, one of the other guys about the math involving that.
You're more likely to get you're going to get a really good or really bad character, because I rolled another character with the D8 method, and I was like, okay, my highest stat's a 12.
Yeah.
He died to farming.
The math is just if you roll 46, you got a lot more chances of getting a rounded even number between more 15 and 16 and those numbers. If you do a 1d8, it's more all over the place in terms of it's a lot higher for you to get an 18, but it's also just as high, it's just as equal to get an 11.
Yeah. To be honest, with how things are now, I would be open to retrying this campaign with newly rolled up characters and us taking it seriously, because I feel like we are more mature and capable of taking a campaign like this seriously, unlike earlier. Because my thing was for me specifically, I was with the DM and we were planning out this campaign and we were making a lot of jokes and going about oh, this will just be a crazy fun time campaign. and then the DM decided he wanted this to be a serious campaign, and I didn't know that coming into here because I was just like, okay, it's time for crazy fun time, and that's how I was playing, going like, I'm the best of everything.
Yeah, because what's interesting about this campaign and why I think it's
memorable, and like the more we look back on it, we did have a lot of legitimate fun. It's just, you know, your first campaign's gonna be a mess unless every player is on the same page. None of us were on the same page.
Yeah. Like, here's the thing about the campaign on my end, right? It was, like you said, it was a very good very good story and all that.
The story.
But, no, not yet on the but. But, like, it was a really good story because you started off with the guy in the bar who, you know, brought us in and was like, hey, just do this for me. We meet his brother in the living world. And then eventually we get to the point where finally we get the brother out of the place. And sure, that encounter with the Kraken and all that probably wasn't the best encounter of all things.
We weren't supposed to fight it. We didn't fight it. The level 20 characters were fighting the Kraken.
While we were trying to fight,
and we were solving the puzzle. That was how it went. Which, in my opinion, the fact that the DM should have told us that, because we thought we were supposed to fight the Kraken. That's why we're really pissed off. Like, why are we fighting a Kraken? We're level 4. This is bull crap. That's what we were saying. Aaron's like, oh no, we just need to break these gems and we're done.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah.
You should have said, hey, this is going to be a puzzle encounter. He went, this is a boss fight. And I was like, against a Kraken?
But no, that whole storyline, and when it got to the point of like him saying, all right, you guys have done all this for us, why not be a part of our guild? And it was like, sure, why not? We've been through this as long as we have, and this, that, and the other makes a lot of sense. And then when he redoes it and tries the same thing at like section 1, there are obviously a lot of things that didn't work with that, but the thing that probably didn't work the best was the fact that he immediately pushed us to like helping these guys that in character we didn't even know.
Yeah, that was one thing. We did not want to join this guild. We did not want to have anything to do with these people, and we made that clear. Like, we don't want to do this. We just want to leave. We just want to go do our own thing, and we were
like, it's not to say
we were on a train. I'll put it that way. We were on a train.
Like, it's not to say that we would never come back to these people. It's just
we didn't
like, unlike unlike the first iteration, we had no attachment in the second iteration, and that's
that's in every version. Because this campaign, what happened was we ended prematurely, and then he wanted to restart it with with our same characters but different stats, and he wanted to start us at level 1. No, he wanted to start us at level 3. We had started at level 1 in this campaign, I believe. Yeah. Or that's at one of the campaigns he started us at level 1, which to this day I don't like. I don't like starting campaigns at level 1, at least level 2, because you have decent hit points at that level.
That's a conversation you and I need to have. Nothing bad, just...
If you start level 1, you do that, in my opinion, in like a, pre-session or something, like, to build up your characters meeting each other.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the same track, but it's like, it doesn't even have to be a pre-session, it just gotta be like...
0 sessions was meant to be, yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't even have to be a 0 session, it could just be like session 1, and then once you're done with the main mission, then level up. Which is kind of like the session we're in now. We're still level 1 after session 1. We could talk about that later.
Let's stay on the first. We're gonna stay on the first.
We're trying to stay on the first one.
So back to the. Cave? Let's go back to the cave. Yeah. So before we even get to the cave, we get separated by spiders. The spider thing. Dale and Sake meet up. We yell for Sake. We go like, Sake, we have booze. And the wolf hears us, but Sake's not his real name, so the wolf doesn't know who we're yelling for. So Sake and the wolf just walk away, leaving me and Ajax was his character's name.
The Red Dragonborn.
Yeah, the Red Dragonborn. In the
in God's
forest.
Name, please don't hear that barking.
You know what? We'll leave it there just in case. Fuck it. But basically, what happens is we're walking through there and we decide, okay, there's spiders in the tree. Let's set up an ambush. So I tell him, I get out, I find a rock, I pick up a rock, and I say I'm gonna cast light and throw the rock in front of us so that the spider will sense the vibration and jump on the rock. That didn't work. He jumped on us and he started biting us. I was like, okay, well, I'm level 1. But I have a high AC. I should be fine. And then, well, the DM got his revenge. He rolled a nat 20 and nailed me. And then I had to roll a con saving throw, failed, and I took about 11 damage or something.
Yeah,
and I had 12 health.
Oh, never mind.
So I was down to 1 HP. And I'm like, okay. I attacked the spiders. I had 6 spiders on me, 1 attack, and I hit a spider shatter. And I'm like, okay, these have 1 hit point. I am dead. Then Ajax just rolls on the ground, killing all the spiders. And I'm like, oh, I'll do that too. So we kill all the spiders. Then we get up, and then a big spider is coming down. And so I decide, okay, I'll shoot it. I shoot it, and I roll a nat 1. And then both Sake's player and the DM's father, because we're doing it at his friend's house, were like, break the bow! Break the bow! Have his bow shatter! Break it! Break it! Break it! I'm like, Sake, shut up! This bow is literally our one ranged weapon. We lose this, we're fucked! Because most of the enemies in this campaign, guess what they were?
Melee.
Ranged enemies attacking us from a distance that we could not clear in the first round of combat. So me pulling out my bow and picking them off, like, legit saved our asses so many times. Because until we got our bard back, I was the range. And I had 1 attack per round.
I can't remember I don't remember casting ranged spells.
You had, like, Vicious Mockery, which was the closest thing we had to range enemy.
Yeah, you're right.
You never. I don't know if you use it often. Also, we had a Dragonborn who uses Breath Attack. That was our other range, but he was the red one, so it was like a 15
This was obviously before Fizzband did its thing.
And yeah,
we realized that Dragonborn in its state was, not that great.
So yeah, at this point, our only 2 ranged attacks are a breath weapon that can be done on a long rest and my bow. And so eventually, after a bunch of yelling, break the bow, our DM rolls percentage dice and my bow string breaks. So I can restring the bow, but not in this fight. We are fighting a spider that has a ranged poison attack that's about 30 feet in the air or something. Like, he had some sort of ranged attack, so it wasn't going to come down. And we did not have any ranged weapons, so we had to pick up rocks and start throwing rocks at the damn thing until eventually we got lucky and, like, they injured it and it fell and died. But then one of the little spiders ran away to call reinforcements. I tried to hit it with a rock. It, of course, missed. And so we were like, oh, that's going to come back to bite us in the ass.
I get it.
Literally. And so, yeah. So we end up skinning the spiders to get their spider silk so I could restring my bow. And I was told this would be a temporary fix. I never got to get a normal bowstring, like, at all at the rest of this campaign. 1, because I think we forgot or something. Or 2, the campaign didn't go long enough for my character to go to a town and go, okay, time to buy a new string.
I want to say both.
Yeah,
to be fair, I wasn't there to forget. But I think it's just a matter of, like, it never went on long enough.
So we basically, in our first combat session outside of the Realm of the Dead, our second combat session outside the Realm of the Dead, almost got me 1 shot. The first encounter we had outside the Realm of the Dead was us waking up, and the DM told us this was going to happen beforehand, but it still pissed me off. We all woke up in our underwear because while our corpses were on the forest being resurrected, a bunch of thieves showed up and just took everything except our undergarments
So
and
this was
left.
after the cave?
Now, this was like the first thing that happened to us after we woke up. You weren't there for that either because that was second session. And so eventually we killed them. We killed the thieves. We killed most of them. Some of them got away because, like, they had exhaustion level 3 or something. So it was an easy fight. We were like, yay. We had to run around, find sticks, climb up a tree, and set up an ambush and try to kill these guys who had, like, weapons and crap while we were in our undergarments. Thankfully, we had a monk, so this was an easy fight. Monks don't really need anything to be
They don't need
dangerous.
clothes.
Yeah, they don't need clothes. back to sake. So, like I said earlier, the drunken monk is a lot more powerful than most people think. It's a pretty monks are pretty powerful when you think about them. But one of the things about monk is they have low HP because they need to build up their wisdom to have a high, AC, so they take less damage and are good at attacking. The drunken monk is unique, as in you increase your AC by increasing your con. Con equals health, AC equals protection. So if you have a 20 con, you can have more HP than both your fighter and paladin as a monk, and also have a higher AC than your fighter and paladin, which was exactly what happened. Keep in mind, I have legendary magic armor that's a +2 magic armor. I also have a shield, so I had a 24 AC. I took defensive, so 25 total. And Sake still beat me. Granted, he had a bunch of other magic items that also increased his AC, and he had Dale. But it's like the fact that I had all of this stuff I shouldn't have, to be honest, and he still beat me just because of his stats. And he also had a lot higher HP than me because of his +5 to con, which taught me the lesson of have a high constitution, because that is one of the most underrated stats in my opinion, because health is just important and you don't realize how much you need it until you're a wizard and you get hit once and you're down to half health and you had a 20 con and you realize, oh, if I had a lower con, I'd probably be down right now. But yeah, back to the first campaign.
Do drunken monks actually have something to do with their con?
No, they just instead of using wisdom, they use con for their AC, and it's specifically for the drunken monk, which is pretty cool, and it makes sense.
This might be something we have to look up later.
But yeah, so back to now we're finally at the place that made me hate caves for a very long time, the beginner cave.
Noob cave, as we called it, or the DM called it.
Yeah, he called it the noob cave. So, this was just like I said, a lot of it was our fault as well as the DM. I'm not gonna be like, it was only the DM's fault. No, it was also my fault. And Sake and Ajax. We all had a blame in this.
Okay, so I wasn't there. I know I wasn't, but...
You were there after we got to the cave, and you were just sitting there waiting for us to get to the cave.
Never mind.
That's why you think you weren't there for most of the campaign, because you were there, but you didn't get to participate, because you were in a coma.
Got it, okay. Sorry, I don't mean to keep bringing it up.
But yeah, so the first session, we walked in, and we got into a fight with slimes. Makes sense. Then we went deeper in there, and we fought a bunch of cultists. And our main problem was we kept, getting stuck in these really long discussions on how we should proceed, because we came to one point where there was a bunch of bats on the ceiling, and they went, okay, let's stealth through this. And I was like, I have disadvantage on stealth, and I'm not good at stealth. I am a paladin. And we also had another person who had disadvantage on stealth. And so our first two people get through, and now it's my turn. And predictably, I fail the stealth check, the bats descend, and now we're in combat. We won it, but it was a really, really long fight. And, every boss fight, Belfire rolled his nat 20, killed 3 bats with 1 arrow or something because it was a horde. So they used a shared HP. That's just standard issue at this point. Get used to hearing. So I rolled a nat 20 and shot him. Get used to that. Then I was really proud of us for this fight because we just went AoE deep. Riki actually did something good here. He cast Thunder Wave.
Riki was...
That was the person who was supposed to... I thought was a joke character, but wasn't the joke
character.
That
was the half-orc.
What?
Riki's a half-orc, right?
I think he's a troll. No, he was the half-troll. Because he got killed at one point, but then came back to life because of trolls.
Huh.
Half-orc was one of Charles's characters that he made for your campaign. That was a cleric. But back to this campaign. So basically, we dealt with the bats. Then we came up to a puzzle. And then we got into about a 2-hour argument on how to get past the puzzle. And then And then we came across a stalactite. And then we saw that the stalactite had amethyst into it. So then we got into another hour-long argument on how to get the amethyst out. We eventually did that. Then, next session, we come up to a gap, and then we get into an argument on how we get past that. And then eventually we realize, oh, we used a stalactite to get past. We got past that, and then we got into an argument with our DM on how we could take the stalactite with us to sell to the guild, because one of our characters, we rolled the treasure table, and he got the best item on the treasure table. He got 100, and he got a magic hole, which if you ever watch Looney Tunes, you know when they draw a hole in the ground and all of a sudden people start falling in it? That's that magic item. It is incredible. I highly recommend it. It is a bag of holding, but it is a gag bag of holding, and I love it.
Does it actually exist?
Yes, it is an actual magic item.
Magical, you said?
Yes, it is the portable hole. Great item. Basically, it's a bag of holding, but it's like a 10-foot wide bag of holding, so you can put really big stuff in there. So we put a 10-foot wide, 10-foot long stalactite of with an amethyst vein mine in it, and we put it in there, and we just took it with us, like, this is ours. And he was like, it's not worth that much gold. But I was like, but it's worth gold, and I have 200 gold pieces, because we thought you rolled your money from your background and you keep your starting item. You don't do that, unfortunately. Because
in the Dungeon Master's Guide, there's somewhere in the back where it says, like...
Yeah, we were also very rich in this campaign.
Yeah.
But we never really got to a situation where we're like, yay, we have money, we can do stuff. Yeah. We never went to a shop. I was just walking around with 274 gold pieces and legendary armor at level 3.
I think that was the reason why we never considered like money, because we also looked at platinum like it was worth 1,000 gold.
Oh yeah, we thought piece. That was when our DM thought one platinum piece was worth 1,000 gold. Was it like 1,000? That's also when we thought Electrum was like the highest currency. Like he went, if you have an Electrum piece, you can buy a country. But then we found out Electrum's 5 silver pieces.
To be fair though, that's a reasonable thing to do, because
it's your first campaign.
First campaign, and no one's using Electrum. Mm-hmm. It's like
unless you build a campaign around Electrum like I did, which was funny. That was my first that was my second campaign where I made Electrum the most important currency, just so I could watch everyone be having a panic attack trying to figure out how to buy something because they had to use odd numbers to buy even objects. Oh Lord. That was my favorite part of that campaign, is watching them go to town like, okay, I have 10,000 Electrum pieces. How do I buy something with this?
What were we talking about?
We were talking about the cave. So
yeah. Oh yeah, that's right.
We spent about an entire session, because our sessions were about 3 hours long, because we weren't allowed to do it past 8 or 10 or something. And so we spent an entire session just getting across a bridge, which goes to show like just how long this dang thing happened. Also, another thing that made me really mad was the fact that I could see the end of the cave the whole time, because our DM made the cave out of Legos, and we were using Lego character pieces to represent where we were first campaign. And so you get that. And so I could see the end the whole time. And he had like a hidden chest at the very end. But everyone could see the hidden chest that we weren't supposed to see. So of course we used player knowledge to find it. And yeah, so... And every day for like 10 sessions, I would just look at the end of the cave and be like, soon. And it was just really disheartening to see us like move like legitimately about 1 inch forward on the map. And we've been there for 3 hours. So, we come across some cultists. And this is like really, it's like about 5 sessions later. We kept running into puzzles, and we kept getting distracted, talking to each other, all this other stuff. And eventually it took us like 7 sessions to finally get to the boss. And then first we fight an army of cultists. We beat the crap out of them. Then we get to a illusion room. We open up a door, and we throw like a Molotov cocktail in there to set the room on fire. We don't see any fire, so I'm like, oh, it's an illusion. Roll a nat 20 to see through this illusion. You see a blip. I shoot the blip, and the DM described it as you saw through the matrix or something. So I shot a pearl that was casting illusion, and what the DM wanted us to do was walk into the room that was already on fire, and the three people who were behind the illusion were going to shoot us with crossbows and basically be invisible until we saw through the illusion. And that didn't happen. I just shot the illusion, destroyed it immediately. So I got shot at by those crossbow people, but like I said, 25 AC. I was just fine. So we slaughtered them, and then we go through there, and then we fight our third wave of cultists. And after beating these guys really badly, granted, Ajax got hit pretty hard because instead of targeting me or Sake, who had extremely high ACs, he decided to target Ajax, our fighter, who had a 16 AC. And yeah, he did a lot of damage, let's put it that way. And basically, after fighting that guy, we killed them. We healed up Ajax because I was paladin, so I had like about 15 health points I could give him due to lay on hands or no healing hands. And I had also an additional 3 because ASMR have a healing ability where they get to add like a +1 to each. They have like a health pool where they can heal you 1 point per level, and I was a level 3, so I had 18 health points I could give him. That basically brought him back to full. And then after we get 2 people to surrender, we go, okay, let's continue further. Then we hear like a sound or something, and we turn around, and the 2 people that we were going to keep as prisoners are now dead, and a shadow raises from the ground. And then we got into an argument because it was technically a boss creature that joined an active fight because there was still an active combatant. And so the boss creature started at the bottom of combat because when you join combat, you start at the bottom. There's no roll initiative. You're just the last person who attacks from now on. And so the boss joined us, and it didn't get a turn. It was me, Ajax, Sake, then random cultists who hadn't surrendered yet. I turn around, nat 20, of course, boss creature, first round, nat 20, bam, shoot it. I did max damage, which was a first for me. So I go like, okay, I do, and like, because this was our first campaign, we thought you doubled everything. So when I shot it, and I rolled a 10. We thought we doubled the dex modifier, we doubled the magic damage, and we doubled the arrow. So 20 plus 6, 26, plus my dex, which was an 8, 28, 30 something. It was like 30 something damage, basically. And then we decided that the magic, we got into an argument and decided that the magic would apply to the entire attack or something like that, or like the 6 damage would be normal and the rest of it would get halved because it was a shadow, and shadows have like a resistance to all attacks that are non-magical. But because of my nat 20 and I rolled max damage, even though it was halved, except for that 6, which is an important thing to remember, that the 6 was not halved, I took a huge chunk out of his boss creature, and then Ajax decided to hit it with his breath attack. No. Ajax, no, he action surged. There we go. He action surged, and then he hit it 4 times. And he didn't hit all 4 times, but you can tell, like, I hit him hard with 1 arrow, and then we had a fighter come in and just nail on it, like just wail on it, and then his attacks got halved. And so he had 5 HP left.
Boss, right?
Yeah, the boss had 5 HP left. And then our monk walked up to it, and he rolled 3 attacks. 2 missed, but his last one hit. And he hit it, and he did exactly 5 damage. Which means if my 6 was halved, because it was like we decided it wouldn't get halved, the boss would have survived. And yeah, so we killed the boss in the first round. The cultist just saw us annihilate a demon right in front of him. So he's like, I'm done. I'm done. And so we tied him up, And then we were stuck in that cave for another 2 more sessions, bringing us up to an
Jeez.
even 10. Because getting out of the cave wasn't okay, time skip, you're now out of the cave. Nope. We had to
Actually
role
walk.
play us walking out of that cave. And I swear to God, getting out of the cave was more dangerous than anything we came up against in that entire campaign. And remember, we were fighting 2 armies at the same time at one point. That cave did not want us to leave.
Stay. Be consumed by the rocks.
Yeah, God. It was just one of those sessions. Not one of those sessions, one of those campaigns.
One of those.
So finally we bring back our bard after like so many sessions of him just sitting there eating pizza while we were like, I want to get out of this cave. And then our DM goes, okay, so all of the boss fights are gonna take place in caves. And I'm like, no, I'm not going into another freaking cave. And it was like, this entire campaign is centered around you going into caves. And I was like, it's not anymore. It is not anymore.
Listen, DM. Just because it's called Dungeons and Dragons does not mean that the dungeons have to actually be underground.
You know what? We said we were going to talk about the first campaign. We're going to talk about the second campaign that was a redo of this one. Guess what the first dungeon was?
Noob Cave.
It was the Noob Cave. But here's what he changed about it. It had randomly generated bosses. And in the first boss encounter, they attacked like a... Sorry if this sounds different. My mother came home and she had a broken leg, so I'd help get her back in the house.
Oh man, you don't have to tell them that.
I need to tell him why I had to stop the video. Now it sounds different. So this is back to that first boss. So
In the
he
second
put
campaign.
in the second campaign.
Version.
Well, you get what I mean. It's right after. So he had a list of bosses that he had set up. 1 second. And one of the bosses, and I'm sorry about the me going away, echo effect, whatever. One of the bosses was a mushroom. And he said, I put this in here as a joke. And I was like, if you're going to be rolling for a boss for us to fight, you do not put jokes in there. I wasn't a part of this campaign because I was just done. I was done with this crap. I was just going to sit back and watch. I do not regret that decision. I had a lot of fun. Basically, what we did is off topic. I decided that my character was going to be the good and evil angel telling a different player what to do. And we did have a lot of fun with that. Sorry, I had to stop this video a second time. So basically, the
We need
boss
our own
itself...
space.
Yeah, we do. We do. We have another house, but we're doing it at my house today. Basically, the boss was a mushroom that was not sentient. He had it in there as a joke. He had it as his, like, 1 to 10 percentile, the weakest boss. And he said, like, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this. I was like, you had it there. You said what it was. You're doing it. I'm going to watch. So their first boss fight in this campaign was them attacking a mushroom from a distance because it had a 20-foot radius, and that's it. That was it. It was like poison within 20 radius. They shot it with a bunch of arrows because this time they, without me there, they had characters with bows and they were ready for ranged. Yeah. So after that, they then went to a second boss or second fight, and it was a slime.
There were a couple of other stuff that happened before that, like there were some cultists that were in the cave. That,
yeah.
But like the slime, oh boy. So the thing about the slime was that it had this ability where if you hit it with slashing damage, it would duplicate itself. And the problem was that our main fighter, our main damage dealer, had a slashing weapon. He didn't have anything else, and that was his main weapon. Now, me being a spellcaster, I could have used like psychic damage because of Dissonant Whispers. Problem was, for me anyway, was that I was a level 3 character with like 3 spell slots. Yeah. And I already had the mindset of like,
you were going to save these.
I was going to save these for something that might actually, later. Now that's probably not the best mindset to have, but also like, this is...
You need to be conservative with your spells. You can't blow the load on like a mini fight or something. And that's because there's no long rests inside a dungeon cave.
But here was what's killing me. Here's what was killing me about the slime. It was of gargantuan size.
Yep.
That was dumb.
Yep.
Because it was like, how... Okay, first off, how big is the stage? Because this stage is like some pedestal, not pedestal, but some stadium hovering over a boiling
pit of magma. Because the cave went into an active volcano.
State. It was... There were a lot of things that were just... There were a lot of things that were like in concept.
The second campaign was a bigger mess that I was not a part of for the most part. I'm learning to get this. Basically, the second campaign ended when they got into a boss fight, when they were fighting a boss that could heal itself
that was
more than the damage it could take.
Yeah, it was like, by the time we could defeat it, all I heard next was like, there's going to be another boss fight. Like, no, that's it. No,
Alright, so yeah, back to the first campaign. We're going to be wrapping this up soon because our video is going to keep getting interrupted most likely.
And we're more or less done.
Yeah.
Like, what else do you want to talk about?
I'm just going to finish up the campaign itself. So here's what happened. Finally, we get back, the party's together, we're about to try to sing Kumbaya and all this other crap, and then the Kraken appears. We get all this stuff, because also in the cave there was another thing that allowed the dude to get his brother back or something. So his brother comes back, a Kraken comes with him, we begin the boss fight like, oh, we're fighting a Kraken at level 3, this is such a good idea. Oh wait, no, we're just solving a puzzle. Okay, this is actually a pretty cool puzzle, let's do that. And then, yeah, Riki, the person that we just did not want to take with us anywhere, ends up getting trapped in the void. Or something like that. We never found out, because this campaign ended, like, almost immediately after this. He got trapped somewhere, and we were like, you have to go save them. And I'm like, I am not motivated to do anything.
Like, do we have to?
Morally, I guess, because I was a good character. No, I wasn't. No, I was chaotic good or something. I was not lawful.
Like, it's not saying that. Okay, to be fair though, I don't think for me anyway, it was like that. Like, I don't think it was a situation where like, do we have to save him? More just like, by the time it came to fruition that he might have been in the void, that we're like, the session was over, so it was like we definitely had no reason to care. Mm-hmm. And then, I don't know. Should we explain like why it ended abruptly? Because the thing was, like,
I can get up to that. I'll get us right to that point. So after we got out of there, we then go to a town as a group of friends, kind of. My character has all of his gold stolen from him by a snake. We never found out why that happened. It just he did that as a way to punish me. There was also the Chaos Emeralds or something like that, and each of us were supposed to get that, but my character ended up flirting with a waitress and,
me too,
doing things
first and like last in-game relationship.
Yeah, and basically the DM decided to punish me for doing that instead of the thing I was supposed to do, apparently, and I don't get the super powerful magic item that does a lot of healing, and all my gold got stolen from me by a snake. A literal snake. And I was just like, okay. And then, like, almost immediately after that, the campaign ended anyway. But basically, what his explanation was for this campaign ending was he wrote himself into a... he ran out of stuff to write. He did not know where to take the story after all of this.
Wait, really?
That was it was that, plus he didn't like... He didn't like how we got to this point. He didn't like what our characters did. He didn't like the fact that our characters destroyed basically all of his bosses. He didn't like how our characters tackled certain issues. He definitely did not like our character interactions with basically any of the NPCs.
That's a lot more complicated than just saying I didn't have fun. Because that was the majority.
That was it. He didn't have fun, but like I'm just giving like the exact things. He did not like how... I can agree with him on the Ajax thing. A lot of Ajax's interactions with NPCs was, how dare you! Just, super gruff fighter dude that's really, really, really just needs to calm down. And he's still like that to this day, that player, but not as bad. And honestly, as long as you don't insult his characters or him, he won't be mean or anything like that. But I'm not going to get into that in this video because neither of the players are there, but there's nothing wrong with having a certain character archetype, let's put it like that. You just need to be able to accept that archetype, and our DM did not accept the Ajax archetype at all. He also didn't like how my character was really stuck up, and I was like, I told you, I'm going to be playing a stuck up brat because my dude is like a extremely rich prince who, yeah, he lost everything. It doesn't change the fact that he was at one point extremely rich and also the prince of an entire species. Yes, he is a prick. I warned you he was going to be a self-entitled prick.
Like, again, the moral of the story is not to, like, blame the DM. Though I will mention something that I noticed, at least back then. And
it was all of our faults, but...
Like, yeah. Like, it was not, like, the end, like, how it all ended was not, you know, just the DM's fault, obviously. But, like, one of the, at least referring to the DM, because I can only speak for, like, what I've seen of him and myself, and I don't know about you, but I don't know what I did, if I did anything. But, you know, referring to...
You weren't there to do anything. He went like, you're the only player I actually liked. And then you started running campaigns, and he went, I hate your campaigns. You're the worst. He went from, you're the best to you're the worst so fast.
Like, I feel like there's this certain thing he wants from the campaign and the players, and we're just not that group to give it to him, even after our mature status, if you want to call it that.
He wants extremely serious all the time. No breaking character, making comment. He wants one of those, and I'm never going to be that. I'm always going to have conversations with my friends. I managed to tone it down to the point where we can actually get through dungeons in a timely manner now. I did do that.
It's still kind of rough, buddy.
Hey, we at least get through dungeons in at least 2 sessions now.
You're not wrong.
But yeah, I do a lot of side conversations, and I do make a lot of jokes that make the DM cringe and stop for 5 seconds. That's one of my favorite things to do. And you know what? We're all having a good time except for that one DM player person, because he's the only one who doesn't laugh. But honestly, I take it this way. If everyone except one person's laughing, you're doing a good job. If only one person's laughing, then you stop.
Yeah, that's the philosophy of comedians.
Pretty much. I'm not a comedian. I'll never be that good, but I can make my friends laugh.
Hey, that's where it counts.
That's where it counts, yep.
Man, what did we start this with?
We started this with the tiger encounter, and this video was originally going to be about the tiger encounter and my characters, but instead it became the first campaign. So I'm going to call this video, and you're going to hear it here, Tigers in Our First Campaign.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. So, let's see some other things that happened to us.
In that campaign?
We had another player join us halfway through the campaign. This player this player, you know, he was an edgelord D-bag who was like always the rogue, so he made it so no one else could be a rogue in any of the campaigns. And he was always like this super dark, edgy person. He only stopped playing rogue when Dark Sorcerer was dropped. But like, it was telling that the first thing he ever played was a thief rogue.
Hey.
And guess what he was in real life? A thief, because he kept stealing from me, and I didn't realize until after we kicked him out.
Maybe we should talk about that later, because this video's already...
I don't want to talk about that person. I'm just saying, like, we had a person join us in our first campaign who was an edgelord. And no, actually, Nick... Yeah, I'll say his name, Nick. Nick was his favorite character, because Nick just didn't talk. He didn't do anything. Because he even got onto you because of your... because he didn't hear your backstory. He thought your mother was still alive when, like, everyone else is like, the last line of your backstory, my mother's dead or something, and he didn't know about that. And yeah, that's another thing that happened. One of them, he was gonna have your character's mother be an important wizard or something, and we were like, she's dead though. Like, that was the backstory. She is definitely dead.
Like, no question about it.
We saw the body.
Saw the bodies and everything.
We saw the body. It was buried.
I did it myself.
Yeah, there was no room for debate other than, well, that doesn't have to be permanent or something.
Well, you're right, but also, like, the backstory is she is dead. Like, if she is alive, sure, we can do a Full Metal Alchemist where in the background she was resurrected when I wasn't there, but the fact of the matter is I know her to be dead. And unless I see her moving corpse, You can't convince me otherwise.
Yeah, that was so great when your character's like, bullshit, you are dead. It's like, things can be tricked, sweetie. No, I buried your body.
Like, that was a traumatic thing for my character. Like, I wasn't high enough level to like know what like
resurrection was and stuff like
I know
that.
that's kind of
we got resurrected. But that was because like a freaking bard level 20 was like, I'm bringing you back.
Like, it was just more of like this is sort of like already outside the realm of like believability.
Yeah,
anyway.
Imagine burying your own mother and then like 3 or 5 years later she comes to you in a dream. By the way, I'm still alive. No! You're not gonna accept that!
Like it's not even the fact that I didn't want to like eventually believe it. It was just more of the fact that I was like,
you would not immediately go, yes.
Yeah, there we go. But ultimately, like, that campaign was memorable in like a lot of good ways.
And also a lot of bad ways. But I'll put it this way. The gameplay was a mess because we didn't understand no one understood the rules.
That was literally everyone's fault.
We were introduced to a group called the Harlequins. And I was like, oh, he made this himself. Not Harlequins, whatever. Like that Harpies, whatever that underground organization is from Dragons.
Might have been the Harpers.
Yeah, the Harpers, like that underground spy organization. I don't know. Okay, he made that himself. And I was just reading through the DM's guide and I saw them there. And I was like, oh, that's an actual thing. Oops.
Whoopsie.
And also, like, it was like we kept running into stuff that was like D&D lore, and we didn't know the lore because we didn't read the books yet. Nowadays, well, like if you mention something from D&D lore, we'll be like, oh yeah, we know what that is. But back then, we're just like, where is he making this crap up?
It's like the Dragonborns being like, they don't believe in gods. Who said that? Oh, the book.
Oh no. We had a cleric Dragonborn and they don't like God. Oops. We had stuff like that happen.
Actually, I don't know if we had a cleric dragon. Did we?
We had a DM who understand the general sense of the D&D lore, but he didn't understand the lore of each individual species.
Yeah.
So he had Dragonborns doing things they wouldn't do with 2 players who read the Dragonborn stuff very thoroughly. So they kept getting into arguments and ASMR and all that stuff. So yeah, this is where we're going to end the video. Basically, the first campaign, I'm going to be honest, I liked the story that I saw and it was intriguing. It's just, we were stuck in a cave way too long and we had a lot of gameplay issues and our DM just did not like how I was doing things.
And I kind of got into the scenario where every time the DM did something, it was like I got the least worst brunt of it somehow.
It's weren't there.
It's even to this day, it just seems like while everyone else is just having some kind of weird issues with what's going on, I'm just over here being like, I'm fine.
He was not... Well, whenever we mention something about the first campaign and all of us go, God, I hated that. Our dude over here, Rekurtz, he's just sitting there like, that happened? Because he was like... He was just either not there for that one session, and the rest of the campaign, he was off to the side eating pizzas. Because we kept getting Little Caesars and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is the end of the video. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. Click the bell icon.
Tell us about your first D&D campaign.
Oh yeah, definitely do that. I'll make a video reacting to your first D&D campaign.
No, we're serious. We'll do it.
Yeah, we'll do it. It might take us 3 years or something. For God's sake, I made a promise that I'll talk about the tigers, and it's like about a couple months later, and they're like at most 5 minutes of this video, but hey, we'll do it. If anyone's actually going to comment, please comment. Please. Hit the bell icon. We don't upload videos often, but when we do, please.
Just do it for us.
I want a corporation.
We needed the motivation.
Yeah. Also, we are making the book. It will come out. Let me put it this way. It might not be sold, but somewhere on the internet, there will be a PDF one day.
One day.
So yeah, please, like I said, like, comment, subscribe, and please stand by as we add more treasures to our hoard. And you'll know we'll go far because we started in the garage.
Hey, you said the thing.
That was both our catchphrases. Have a nice day.